Okay, this shit is wild. I've been out today looking and touring apartments, okay? The amount of money these people are trying to charge in fees alone will have your head spinning. For instance, the nice apartments that I looked at are affordable. It comes out to be $1,684 a month. That includes internet, cable, and trash, and a pet fee, or the pet rent, it says, is going to be $25 a month. Okay, so $1,684 total for rent and trash, my pet rent, and internet and cable. Okay, $1,684 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's very nice, got a nice pool, nice gym, in a great area, Afton Ridge Apartments. If you guys from North Carolina, Concord area, y'all know, Charlotte area, y'all know where that is. Anyways, but the application fees for me, my boyfriend, and my 18-year-old son, anybody 18 years old and over, you have to pay $100 for the application fee. So that's $300 right off top. That doesn't even secure your apartment because you could be turned down, right? So $300 that you might lose right off the top, okay? Then they have an administration fee for $150, a pet deposit fee. We have a cat. A pet deposit fee for $250, a pet fee for $250, and amenity package fee, $99. So that's what, $500, $650, $750 plus the $300. That's $1,050 in fees. The $300 for the application fees, $1,050 in fees alone. Okay, if you get approved after your application, there's still an application deposit for $500. You can move in for, so what's that? No, that's not, okay, it's so much. So all the fees they give plus the application deposit is $500. So we're up to what, about $1,500, $1,550 plus first month's rent. So that's $3,000 over. It's like, because it's your first month's rent, $1,684 plus all those fees. So we're talking about $3,100 just to move in. Now, if your credit's not quite good enough, the application deposit can go up to $1,500. So you're looking at possibly $4,100 just to move in. $4,100 just to move in these apartments if you get approved. Okay, so I have to look at a lot of things. I have to say, do I want to stay in my $2,100 a month huge house that we don't need, or do I want to pay $4,000, possibly at the most $4,000 to move in to an apartment, but would save us probably about $600 a month? So you got to do all the math, right? And it still ends up being, if we move, it's still going to save us, if you add the $4,000 in, and then plus the $1,684, times 12 months, and then you take, your energy bill into consideration also, all the utilities, which were very high in the house where we're at now. It still would be better. It would still save us, in the end, about $400 a month. Even with all the fees to move in this apartment and everything, we would still save about $400 a month with, in the next year. That's what it comes out. That's what the math equals up to. So I guess we're going to do it. I'm going to put in our application and see what happens. But I'm going to be pissed off as hell if we don't get approved, because that's $300 just down the drain for nothing.
Hey YouTube, you've probably seen a lot of people today talking about how houses are sitting on the market, apartments are charging weird fees, and how finding a place to live somehow feels more complicated than ever. We're looking at some clips relating to housing and renting because a lot of these conversations point back to the same bigger issue. The housing market doesn't seem completely broken, but for a lot of people it definitely feels like it's getting harder to navigate no matter which side you're on. For years, buying a home was viewed as one of the biggest financial goals people could reach. The assumption was that eventually people would move, upgrade, downsize, relocate for work, or simply make a change when life circumstances shifted. But lately, the market feels a lot more stuck than that. A lot of homeowners locked in extremely low mortgages a few years ago. Now, if they move, they could end up paying significantly more every single month, even if the house itself isn't much different. That creates a situation where people may want to move, but don't necessarily want the financial consequences that come with it. At the same time, buyers are already looking at monthly payments that often feel way higher than they expected. That combination slows everything down for everybody. Fewer people want to sell, few people can comfortably buy, inventory stays tight, options become limited, and the market starts feeling less like a ladder people climb and more like a waiting game where nobody wants to make the first move. What's interesting is that this creates effects far beyond just the people directly involved in a transaction. When fewer homeowners list their properties, buyers have fewer options to choose from. That means the homes that do hit the market often receive a lot of attention. Starter homes become harder to find. People who normally would have downsized stay where they are. Families that would have moved into larger homes sometimes postpone those plans. Even people who aren't actively looking at homes can feel the impact because housing affects so many other decisions. Where people work, where they raise their families, and where they choose to live can all be influenced by how the housing market looks like. A market can technically have homes for sale while still feeling unavailable to large groups of people. And when enough people start feeling like their next move is financially risky, hesitation becomes one of the biggest forces that shape the market. That's why so many housing discussions keep circling back to the same idea that the issue isn't simply prices, it's that the entire system feels frozen in a way that makes it harder for people to move forward.
The boomers finally finding out? So collectively, boomers own about 50% of all real estate in America, with an equity stake in the $17 trillion range. Most boomers' net worth being tied up in their home equity. There's just one little problem. The boomers can't sell their homes anymore. They've depleted millennials, Gen X, and Gen Z so badly that they now have nobody to sell their homes to beyond private equity, other corporations, which aren't paying the same prices as retail. And these banks and big businesses know that if they just cause enough pain in the economy, that they can shake a few of these boomers free of their homes as well too. And a large portion of these boomers as well are having to sell their homes to put themselves into long-term care because their families hate them and don't want them around. Yeah, who doesn't want somebody that got to live off FDR policies and socialism now wants to label you lazy because you don't want to work 7, 8 jobs just to be able to survive and, buy food? Yeah, it looks like the boomers are in the finding out portion of life.
And apartment complexes make it hard for people to even get apartments to begin with. And then they have the audacity to tell somebody that they have to make 3 times the rent when the rent is already high as hell. Then they charge for application fees, and I don't know who started that and why, for real. And when I looked it up, they basically said to pay administration fees to process it and to make sure who's for real or not about getting an apartment. You make people pay $250 application fees, all this money going towards application fees at different apartment complexes, and nobody don't even know if they gonna get the apartment or not. And it ain't like they can get their feedback if they don't get it. It's just hard being on earth at this point. Cause what do you mean I have to give you this money for an application fee for this apartment? But I might not even get the apartment, so my money going to waste. And that's really how they be making money for real, because they know these people not gonna get these apartments. They know that based off the first page, based off your income and everything else. They know that. So yeah, like I said, apartment living is really a scam. Truthfully, everybody just needs to go ahead and buy them a house or something. I wouldn't even say rent a house, because landlords be scamming too. It's about time everybody just start looking to buy a house. Seriously.
One thing that makes
Okay,
renting
this shit is
especially
wild.
frustrating is that the
I've been
advertised
out
price
today
often isn't the
looking
full
and
story.
touring
People expect
apartments,
the rent to
okay?
be expensive. What catches them
The
off guard are all
amount
the
of
extra costs that
money
can
these
show up before they even
people
get
are
approved.
trying to
Application fees are a
charge
good example.
in
You pay money
fees
just for the chance to be considered, and if
alone
multiple people apply to multiple
will have
places,
your head
those costs are
spinning.
adding up
For
surprisingly fast.
instance,
Then there are
the
administrative
nice
fees,
apartments that I
deposits,
looked at
processing
are
charges, and a
affordable.
growing list of
It comes
expenses
out to
that
be
seem to appear throughout the
$16.84 a
process.
month.
Individually, some of
That
them might not sound huge.
includes
The issue is what happens when they
internet,
all get stacked together. Someone can
cable,
spend a decent amount of money before they even
and
sign the lease or
trash.
moved into a single box. And that creates a
And a
feeling that every
pet
step comes
fee,
with another charge
or
attached to
the
it. What makes
pet
fees
rent, it
particularly
says, is
frustrating
gonna
is that
be
people usually react differently to fees than they do to
$25 a
pricing.
month,
If something
okay?
costs a certain amount
So
up front, at least
$16.84
everyone knows what
total
they're dealing with.
for
But when
rent
additional costs keep appearing throughout the process,
and
people start feeling like the
trash,
real cost is
my
constantly
pet
changing. That's where a lot of the frustration comes from.
and
It's not necessarily one individual
internet
fee.
and
It's the feeling that
cable.
every stage of the
Okay,
process has been
$16.84
monetized
for a
somehow.
2-bedroom,
Searching costs money,
2-bath.
applying costs money,
It's very
moving costs
nice,
money,
got a
setting
nice
everything up
pool,
costs money,
nice
and none of that
gym,
includes the actual
in
rent
a
itself. For
great
renters, that
area,
can make the
Afton
entire experience
Ridge
feel stressful before they've
Apartments.
even
If you
secured a
guys
place to
from
live.
North
It can also
Carolina,
create pressure to
Concord
make decisions
area,
quickly
y'all
because
know
nobody
Charlotte
wants to
area,
keep
y'all know where
spending
that
money on
is.
applications over and over again.
Anyways,
Housing isn't the only
but
industry where people
the
complain about
application
fees.
fees
The housing
for
conversations
me,
tend to
my
stand out because
boyfriend,
having a place to
and my
live isn't
18-year-old
optional.
son,
Everyone has
anybody
to participate in the system
years
whether they
old
like
and
it or not.
over,
And when people feel like the
you have
process
to
keeps
pay
getting more and more expensive before they even
$100
receive anything
for
in
the
return, it
application
becomes
fee.
a
So
lot
that's
easier to understand why
$300
these
right off
conversations
top.
continue gaining attention
That
online.
doesn't
It becomes a
even
lot easier to understand why these
secure
conversations
your
continue gaining attention
apartment.
online.